Hey everyone, and welcome back. My name is Sam.
And I'm Melissa.
And I grew up in the FLDS community, which is a polygamous group run by Warren Jeffs. I moved out of that group when I was 18 years old.
And today we are going to talk about what it was like for polygamous boys to do for fun. Like, what do they do for fun? And what kind of mischief did they get into? Because if you have seen our other videos, you know that they were not allowed to have technology. You guys had phones, but like limited technology, no internet, no television, no movies, no non-church music. So the question is, what did you do for fun
How could we possibly survive?
Yes, no. What did you guys do for fun?
Lots of rocks and sticks. It's a good question. Some people didn't think that some people don't believe that we had any fun out there because of the strict rules and things like that, which over time the rules did get more strict and fun was taken out of the vocabulary of the community thanks to Warren Jeffs. So crazy, but it's true.
Just so silly.
Yeah, it was more about business and work, and it seemed like towards the end there, having fun really wasn't supposed to happen. But we did find ways to have fun, especially as young boys, and even our sisters sometimes would join in. But we would definitely find ways to have a good time, and even though we didn't have the typical video games and movies and that type of thing.
It's actually funny, when Sam and I first started dating, I remember telling my mom specifically, I'm like, the fact that he was raised without video games and he doesn't want to play video games instead of hang out with me, I was like, big plus, like brownie. He got brownie points for not really knowing how to play video games.
I am horrible. I have tried it because I have people around me that play video games, and I'm not any good, so... I like the virtual ones nowadays that we have. Those are a little bit more fun.
Those are fun. Okay, so as a young boy, so also for those of you who haven't seen our videos before, how many brothers did you have around your age to play with at one time?
A lot. I would say there were probably my immediate age, there were probably there were probably only 6 of us. 6, 7, right at our very similar age.
Within a couple years, because there were 3 mothers that
had children
at that age.
Yeah. So we had a lot of fun. We always got into a lot of mischief. But yeah, we did a lot of the typical things that boys, that I assume across the world, do when you're outside. Really, we didn't do much inside because there was nothing to do inside. So we would play every game you can imagine, our own made-up sports, making our own bows and arrows and shooting them into the sky and daring each other to stand there the longest before darting away and dodging those arrows coming down. Things like that that we got in trouble for. But man, I could go on. The list is long. We did a lot of things, mostly outdoors though.
Mostly outdoors.
Yeah.
Okay. And where would you get like supplies to do things like that? Like if you're building, who like just goes in their backyard and they're like, I think I'm going to build a bow and arrow today. Like, where did you get stuff to do that?
So there were, first of all, a lot of the people in the community, in the FLDS community out there in Hilldale and Colorado City, worked in construction. Okay. So there were lots of supplies around the community, and there were also some junkyards that people would go to for parts and pieces, and that's where we would go sometimes to find different things. And anyway, all we would use for a bow is PVC pipe, and then we would get some twine, which the twine would come on the bales of hay. And then we would just bend the pipe down and tie the string on, and it gave a nice. They actually were very powerful. Yeah. And then we would make our arrows, sometimes out of sticks or whatever we could get our hands on. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
What was your favorite thing to build for toys?
I would say hands down would have been bikes. So bicycles. We did a lot of bicycle building and fixing, and we would go to these junkyards throughout the town, and we would find scraps, pieces of this, that, and the other, and then of course we had a hardware store out there, so that's where we'd go to buy tubes for our tires that were actually functional. But the rest of everything else, we could find rims and sometimes tires and handlebars and the bike frame and all that stuff in these junkyards.
Oh my goodness.
We would just find pieces and parts and bring them home and put them together, and had a great time doing that.
Did every boy have a bike? Or was there like, Because I feel like even if you're going to a junkyard, like there's got to be like limited supply to be able to build bikes. So like, did everyone have a bike, or was it just some of you?
The majority of people out there had a bike, and for those that were fortunate enough, they were actually able to buy a bike.
Oh, okay.
But it seems like until we reached a certain age where we were working and had some money for ourselves, we were at home with nothing else better to do than go try and build ourselves a bike. And
awesome.
didn't have any money to really buy anything. Yep.
And speaking of bikes, we can't talk anymore about bikes without first mentioning our sponsor of this video, which is the Yeast
Yes.
Okay, so this is our new Yeast bike, and I am loving it. One, because it can just be here in our spare room in our house, and I can just hop on for a quick ride with a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. I don't have a lot of chances to go to the gym. So this is great because it's portable. It is on wheels, so like even I can move it myself when it's not, when Sam's not around or anything, and I can move it to where I need to be able to get a good workout in. It's super easy to adjust. This seat is super comfy. Like, I love spinning classes, but they make my butt hurt. And this seat, I did my first ride, and I was like, it was so comfortable, which is amazing. Super easy to adjust. It has Bluetooth. When you buy it, you get the VIP membership for a whole year, and it actually has like the magnetron settings for being able to turn up the resistance and down. So it has been a lot of fun. We are loving it. Please look in the link in description below if you want to buy one, and you can use our discount code. Okay, and back to your bike building. What, how do I even bring up this story? What is a good story about you on a bike? Or you versus a car. Might be a better way.
Which one? I mean, it seems like we spent a lot of times on our bikes. The town was a small town that we lived in, so we could get anywhere we wanted to go on these bicycles that we had. And so, I mean, I would ride them to work. Sometimes, when I worked out there, had a job. And anyway, so just if we're going to the park or wherever we were trying to go, we were riding our bikes a lot as young boys. So, yes, one of these trips across town, I was going across town. I was on one of the main roads, which is still a small road, but it was one of the main roads. I believe the speed limit there is, I think it's 35 maybe. Anyway, we're going down the road, and I'm going downhill, and I see a car coming uphill towards me. And I immediately realized, hey, I know this person. This is one of my friends. So I'm riding my bicycle, and I swerve over towards him, kind of playing this game of chicken.
Oh.
And so I swerve over, and he kind of sees me, and so he swerves at me a little bit. And then right at the moment, we're just like, okay, we gotta
swerve away.
We gotta bail. Yeah, we gotta swerve away now. We both decided to swerve the same direction, and so anyway, so it was a head-on collision, me and my bicycle versus a car. And it was not fun. I mean, I basically hit my knees first and then flipped up onto the hood of the car. And obviously he was freaking out. He thought he had, just killed me because of how, you can imagine how loud that would be inside your car. But yikes. Luckily, I just kind of banged onto the hood, and then I picked up my bike and walked away, pretending that nothing happened because I was, trying to be a big boy. And turned the corner and almost just like collapsed. Like I was not in good shape at that point. I was early teens.
Oh.
So
we just want to share that lesson with everyone.
Don't do that.
Don't ever play chicken with a car when you're on a bike.
Yeah.
All you boys, if there are any boys out there or moms of boys, let that be the lesson learned out of this.
Yeah. So I was, I believe I was off my legs for about at least 4 or 5 weeks at that point. I couldn't really walk because my knees were really damaged. Like I hit them really hard.
Did you go to the hospital or anything, or doctor, or?
No.
Just stayed off of them?
What's a doctor? No. No, we had medical facilities out there, some doctors, but I just stayed at home and didn't really walk for a while and waited for the healing process to, do its thing. So, yeah, so that was interesting. And there were, countless, not just myself, but my brothers. There were, I remember one of my older brothers coming home. I could barely recognize him. He was so scratched up and banged up, and I guess he was flying across town and hit a rock or something and went flying onto this gravel road and just scraped himself up. Anyways, for some reason, it seems like every time we were on a bicycle, we were going at least 25 miles an hour. I don't know how that's possible, but we were always cruising along with on these bicycles. But anyway, lots of things. But we majority of the time we had good experiences, and our bikes were great, and it was a good means for transportation. So generally speaking, when we weren't doing something crazy.
Now, when you have that many people, like it sounds like most people would probably, I hear, okay, you have that many brothers that close to you, that would make a great sports team. But were you guys allowed to play sports? Like, were there any community sports or anything like that?
Not that I'm aware of. It was, because everyone was homeschooled. For at least, when I was in the age for schooling, everyone was homeschooled. And no, not really. It was a lot of us brothers and some of our neighbors would get together, and we would play what we called football or what we called basketball, which was breaking a lot of the actual rules of the game. But we had a great time, and we just do it play in our dirt driveways or whatever was available. But somehow we always had our hands on a basketball or a football. I don't remember where they came from, but we always had some sports balls to play with. Yeah, so we did a lot of that together, but it wasn't anything organized. It was just brothers and friends.
Gotcha, because you weren't allowed to watch sports as a kid, right?
No.
So how did you get exposed to the sports, or did it just kind of get passed along?
Yeah, well, I learned from brothers and friends, and I'm sure that it just kind of trickled in. I mean, you have to realize years and years and years ago, the community, the FLDS community, was a lot more involved in regular life and what you would consider the outsiders, everyone else in the world. They were a lot more involved, and they were more familiar with everything else going on. It wasn't until the recent years that things started to close off, and they didn't allow anyone to really experience anything outside of the community.
Gotcha.
So, and you also have to remember that a lot of them worked in construction, and so in working in construction, they would leave the community. So maybe going into a restaurant and seeing sports upon a TV or whatever. I mean, you're going to get exposed eventually.
I guess that's true.
To things like that.
That's
true.
So. What were your other favorite activities as a small boy?
Oh boy. Well, our backyard was the mountains.
Oh yeah.
So we lived right up next to a mountain, and so we loved to go on hikes. Beautiful places to go on hikes and four-wheelers and that type of thing out there. So we would often go on hikes and ride in the back of our pickup trucks and take trails off-roading and do all that type of thing. We like to build rock forts up on the mountains and whatever we could get our hands on. We like to build for some reason. We were builders. We like to build things. But I mentioned four-wheelers and motorcycles and that type of thing. So there were families out there that had four-wheelers and these ATVs and different things like that. We didn't really have them, or at least we weren't supposed to. I know some of my older brothers had them at one point. We would ride our friends or people that we worked with on occasion, but we didn't personally own any of those.
Gotcha, but people were allowed to, so you had access to some.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was something that the father didn't want us to have. Maybe he thought it was too dangerous.
Or maybe there were so many kids that would be expensive to try to buy toys for people.
That too. I don't think he wanted us to have them even if we bought them ourselves, though. So for some reason, I don't believe he really approved of ATV life.
Gotcha.
So.
But there's lots of outdoorsy type of stuff to do when you have that kind of stuff out there.
We had all sorts of stuff to do, and there's great hikes you can take that will lead up to natural spring water, and so we had a lot of fun. There was always something to do outdoors. Inside, not so much. Inside was always either chores that we had to do, not that we wanted to do, but that we had to do.
And be more quiet too, right? Like people weren't allowed to yell or run in the house or anything.
And I don't know I can't say this for every family, but our family, our house, we had specific rules. And I can imagine why, with so many of us. Yelling wasn't allowed. Anything that's like super loud.
That would get so loud so fast.
Running in the house was a huge no-no. So running in the house, I got in trouble for that a lot because I like to get places quick, and so I was always running.
He's a runner.
I would even run from when we were doing homeschool in other buildings. I would run from that building to home sometimes just because I love to run. Anyway, but no running, and there were a lot of rules in the house, but we're not talking about rules right now. So
we're talking about fun.
We're talking about fun.
We're going to say fun as many times as we can in this. Fun,
Exactly. So, but yeah, I mean, anything outside, really. We would dig big caves in our backyard. We had huge backyards. Just in our yard had a lot of dirt, and so we would dig holes in the dirt and pretend that we were going to dig a well and get down to water and give up after 3 feet, and then and build these little tunnels and things and pretend we were dogs or whatever. We were little boys just out there getting dirty.
That's awesome.
Playing in the dirt. So we did have some toys that we had sometimes as well, where like a toy dump truck or something like that. So we'd play with toys. Toys weren't banned. We had regular toys, not as many as you would normally see. And I don't remember ever seeing dolls around the house either. I don't know if dolls weren't allowed or if we just never got them. I don't remember any dolls for the girls or the boys if they wanted to play with them, I guess. But we did have a lot of other type of toys. We had a trampoline, and a lot of times people got hurt on that.
People get hurt on trampolines all the time, no matter where you're from.
We built ourselves a swimming pool at one point, which was basically, we took the frame of a trampoline, took the net off, and then put this really thick like rubber stuff inside of it and tied it over and filled it full of water. And it actually worked for quite a while. And then eventually I think one of the sides got a hole in it and it burst and water filled our backyard. But it was just kind of one of those funny things where everyone was out there in this made swimming pool fully clothed, right? We were always fully clothed no matter what we were doing. So anyway, so it was just something we built that lasted temporarily, but we always found ways to have a good time.
Yeah, that's awesome. So yes, if you want to hear more about what it was like for Sam to grow up in polygamy and in a polygamous family, then please like and subscribe. And that's just a little bit of
a glimpse. We'll stop.
In the fun times.
We'll end this video and I'll think of 100 more things, but we can't talk forever, I guess. So maybe on another video.
Yeah, but we'll talk to y'all soon.
Thank you. We'll talk to you soon.